Welcome back. Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and got a new knife in the mail today, and here it is. This is the SOG Terminus XR. Comes in this nice box, and there's your name with the barcode, and you got the lifetime warranty. And up until this point, I don't own any other SOG knives, mainly because the majority of their knives were plagued with either lock rock or failing locks. They just had issues, and there's so many other awesome knives out there. I didn't have to settle on something like that. But they had released a previous Terminus that was a slip joint, and I really liked the aesthetics of that knife, but it had tons of branding on it, logo all over the place, and there's a few things that I didn't really like, and the fact that it was a slip joint at the time, I just didn't need another slip joint, so I decided to pass. But whenever they talked about this guy in the works, and that it was going to have somewhat of a modified axis lock, I was very intrigued, and after seeing my buddy Eugene Kwan do a video on it, I had to check it out for myself. So this is just a first impressions video. I actually just got finished doing some testing footage of this knife, so hopefully I better get that edited up and uploaded within the next couple of days so y'all can see how this guy did. And the reasoning that I wanted to test this guy so bad is because it is in CTS BDZ1, and my only experience with that steel to date was, I'm pretty sure it was my Kershaw Blur, Tanto Blur had that steel, and I never really put it through its paces, so I didn't really know how, the steel stacks up with other budget steels, and especially for the price point. I think this guy is either 69 or 79, somewhere in that ballpark. So it's not a cheap knife by any means, but, out of box, I'm pretty impressed so far. But let's get a close look at it. You have this nice, I guess you'd call that a clip point with a nice exaggerated swedge up top right there. Decent blade stock, not overly thick, nice precise point for piercing. You got about 3/4 of the way flat grind on there. I'm pretty sure. Before I say that, let me see. This is a flat grind. Let's see. Yeah. Pretty certain it's either a flat grind or a very, very, very shallow hollow, but it seems to be, yeah, it's a flat grind. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. And you got this satin finish on here, SOG logo up top with the knife name, Terminus XR. Thumb studs, dual thumb studs on both sides. You have the SOG little skull guy right there, and they let you know that they cryo heat treated this CTS BDZ1. SOG usually, from experience with knives that I've tested, never kept any of the SOG knives, but their heat treats seem to be pretty good with the AUS-8 that they had on all their knives, previous. You got some very, very aggressive jimping. May not be as aggressive to your average people, but my hands are pretty jacked up. So when you put pressure down on here, that your thumb's not going anywhere. Whenever I tested it a little while ago, it wasn't uncomfortable to where I felt like I needed to put a glove on my hand. So there you go. And I was putting some good bit of pressure so I could test out the ergos and everything on this guy. They put a sharpening notch, but how they do this, I don't get it. They failed at it. As you can see, the plunge line goes to right here. So all they need to do is extend this out about another 1/16 of an inch and it would have been perfect. But no, once again, fail. I hate that. Even though it's a simple fix and, you know, after first sharpening, it might take care of that. But you always have that little smile down there. It came nice and sharp out of box. I would show you sharpness, but after I was done testing it, of course, it's dull now. It had almost like somewhat of a like reflective finish. It wasn't a mirror polish, but close to it. Definitely cool to see. The grinds are pretty even. Bevels on both sides, as you can see, pretty even. Look at the tip. Usually you can see it, how it's meeting at the tip. You know, it might be a little bit wider on this side, but close enough. One thing that shocked me so much out of box is when I got it out of box, rock solid, left to right, up or down, absolutely no movement. But check this out. I haven't put any lube on this knife whatsoever, made no adjustments. Woo, look at that. That is outstanding. You know, most of my Benchmades, I can get them to be like that, but the trade-off is usually I have a little side-to-side play. Not always, but majority of the time, just being honest. The centering on this guy is dead centered. One thing else that I will mention, after I did all my testing a little while ago, I was putting a lot of stress left and right side of the blade. So I was able managed to loosen up the pivot a little bit by the pressure I was putting on it, and it came off centered. It wasn't, you know, terribly loose, but loose enough to make it off centered and add a little bit of side-to-side play. As you can see, it does have a flipper, and let's see if they did it better than Benchmade with the Benchmade 300, I think it was, the axis flipper, the Butch Ball design, if y'all recall that. And that design was a flop for Benchmade, or at least it just didn't flip good because you're relying on this spring tension for this lock to create the detent for you, and it just didn't work well for Benchmade. So let's see. You also have jimping there, and as you see, it's nice and sharp jimping. It hasn't started bothering me yet, but I could see, you know, it may become, you know, something to aggravate the finger later down the road, but something that I could easily fix with, say, a ceramic rod or something. But let's check out the flipping action. Absolutely outstanding. I'd heard some people say that it wasn't too good, that they had to use wrist action, but not at all, no matter which way I do it. I mean, the flipper tab's set up really, really nicely to where you just push down on it. So you have like a push button where you're pushing down and a light switch motion all in one, and it fires out. If I preload on it, it really fires out. One thing I heard, I think it was Eugene, say that he had to be mindful where he put his thumb because of hitting the upon deploying it. He was holding his finger down there and it wasn't deploying good. But I haven't really had that issue. Even when I'm holding it kind of tightly, it still comes out for me. So I don't know, maybe he didn't have a strong enough detent on his, but I didn't even really pay attention to it until I had seen his video talking about it. So something just to mention. It's not something that is, you know, a problem with mine, at least. As you see, you do have dual thumb studs, and the clip is reversible. You can see it has that milled out spot in the backspacer to put it on the other side. So this is a completely ambidextrous knife. That's awesome for the lefties out there. We'll get back to the thumb studs in a second. You have this carbon fiber G10 laminate, but it doesn't look as cheesy as some of the laminates do. mainly because at first glance, I didn't even realize that was a carbon fiber laminate on top, because you have these milled lines in there that do add a little bit of texture and grip onto the knife, and it's just different. I don't recall ever seeing something like this, but the light kind of dances off the carbon fiber, and then the matte black underneath kind of does another thing to the lighting. So it's interesting. Do I love it? No. I would have been perfectly fine with just solid G10, or even better, micarta, because you do have stainless liners in there. And something, that maybe I'll change later down the road. We'll see once I get this knife taken apart. Even though it doesn't need it now, so it might not be taken apart for a while. Let's see. The thumb studs, easy deployment there. We'll say the thumb studs are pretty much right up against that the G10. It would have been nice, even though, like, as you can see, they are raised above the G10, so it's easy to get my thumb on there. But it would have probably been a little bit nicer if they would have had put a deeper cutout right here to get a little bit better access for, doing like the slow roll. But I've noticed, for me, if I want to do a slow roll like this, I just put my thumb on top of that thumb stud and just roll it out like that. No issue whatsoever. Let's see if you can spidey flick this guy. You could probably, if you practice at it, you could probably spidey flick it, but the way my detent is set up on here, it's a little tough to do it. The action with the thumb and the flipper tab are nice. I'm glad I didn't go straight to town. I was going to do a flipper delete on this guy, hearing people talk about the flipper not being that good. I'm glad I didn't, because it's actually a joy to use. It's probably the best deployment of the two for my example of the knife. Let's see. One thing that made this very, very, another thing that really caught my eye, made me want to try it out. For me, like I said, my hands are beat up, so the axis lock is usually kind of recessed in there, and kind of like this one, it's not the smoothest. It kind of catches the finger, and this one's better than most of them, but I forgot what model it was I had that I just sold not too long ago. It was kind of sharp and just bothered my fingers. I don't love the axis lock, mainly for that reason. I don't like pulling on the little bar, but SOG kind of solved that problem for me by putting these pads. They got these little plastic pads on there that stick up a good little bit, and it's very, very comfortable to disengage those bars. And let me see if you can do it one-handed. Mine doesn't work one-handed. Oh, yeah, it does. It works if I do the opposite side. But as comfortable as it is, I let the back of the knife sit in the palm of my hand like that and just pull back on it. You also flip it over here. You have a deep carry pot clip that rides as deep as it can go. That's what she said. Yeah, right, huh? Black. And I don't like the pocket clip, especially you got the SOG on there. I would have definitely rather a plain black clip. But, whatever. It's not a make or break for me. Let's see. It's a decently thin knife, and it feels pretty lightweight for its size. Let's get a quick weight on this guy, and we'll do some size comparisons, and I'll let y'all go. And you'll just have to wait to see how it fared in the cutting test. 3.31 ounces. Very, very good. Very, very nice. Let's get some quick size comparisons out of the way. Let's see. You have the Spyderco Mantra. Mantra is just a titch longer than the Terminus. And then you have the Spyderco Brower. The Brower is just a little bit shorter than the Terminus, so a little bit bigger, a little bit shorter. So I'd say it's probably a little bit smaller than a Delica by just a hair. You have the Kershaw Atmos. Atmos is just a hair shorter, just a hair, and the Wii Rectifier. So there you go. The closest in length would probably be that, I would have to say, is the Atmos, and the rest are all pretty close as well. Atmos and the Delica are the mantra. So far, my impressions are, I'm liking it a lot. Ergos are comfortable, no major hot spots, and pretty much every grip. I will say too though, if you have extra large hands or large hands, this knife might be a little small in hand for you. I have a medium to small glove size, and I don't have much sticking out. I will say when I was doing the test, when I was really bearing down, as you can see that line right here, this part of the pocket clip kind of buries into the hand right there. That's just the nature of the beast with these deep carry clips like that. But at no time, even though I was really putting some effort into my cuts, no time did I have to stop to put on gloves. But maybe after extended use with a lot of pressure, you may want to. I'm not sure. So let me know what you think about this. If you have the Terminus, let me know what you think about yours. Let me know how the detent is on yours. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Share it with all your friends and family and your social networks. If you like my videos in general and you're not already, hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, there's a bell notification button right on the right side of that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that too, because if this video's before the giveaway, you're definitely not going to want to miss out on that. We finally got all the sponsor prizes in, and we should be announcing it rather soon. Alrighty, guys and girls, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.